Okay, so we've let the reed dry for about a day. Now we're ready to tighten up the wires in case they've shrunk. The reed does shrink as it dries, and so sometimes the wires loosen up. So we just tighten them all up a little bit. Don't have to be super tight. Then we can put it on the reed winder. The reed winder is just made up of some bent copper tubing and then some brass tubing that fits the outer dimension of this. We put that on there, and it's got a framework of wood. If you want to know more about how to make one of these yourself or buy one, you can get them at reed making outlets for bassoons and oboes also. So we put this on the winder. I've got some thread. I'm going to use green today, and I loosen up some of it, have it ready on my lap. Then I take a little bit of wood glue, put just a little bit on. Just a thin coat all the way around. That's probably good. Then I'll start the thread. You just want to catch the thread as you loop the first loop, and then go around. It shouldn't take too long. This is thick thread that is either used for crocheting or carpets. I got this at a fabric store. They have some nice colors. It's nice to have different colors of thread. Even the original thread, the original reed that's in Vienna has thread on it. It's kind of a long tradition of putting thread on reeds. It kind of helps seal any leaks you might have and makes them so you can identify one different from another. Like if you have a green one or a red one, you can tell which reed you're working with. A little more glue on. Just a thin amount. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then you make another layer of thread over the first layer. This part doesn't take very long. It's mostly cosmetic, but it does help seal the reed as well. The winder makes it easy. You can do this without a winder, which I did for years. But it's really nice to have a device to help you. Then you just make another little slip knot. Just enough to kind of tie it down. And you can put some more, just a real thin layer of glue on it again. That's about right. And you can just wipe some of it off. You don't want it to be too thick. Sometimes you just have to get your fingers into it. Now we'll let that dry for about an hour or two, depending on your humidity and how warm it is. And we'll come back to this later when it's dry. Okay, now we've let the glue dry. I'm going to take it off the reed winder. We can now cut its tail off. Use the knife to get the last little bit of it. And at this point, I like to pull the tube out just a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters. Just wiggle it out a little bit. You can see that there's kind of a gap. Can you see that? Little gap. So now we can take a little clear nail polish. You can also use epoxy. What we want to do is not let this reed leak. And the nail polish acts like a glue. You can kind of put some down there on the bottom of the tube, and it's going to seep down into those cracks. And then I'm going to push it back in. There. And that'll help seal any leak that might happen right there where it attaches to the tube. I'm going to put it back on and put some nail polish over the whole reed. This makes a waterproof seal. When you soak the reed in water, you won't have any, it won't get all gummy. Although this is going into a Krummhorn. I make all sorts of reeds. We make racket reeds, Sordoon reeds, and open reed Ducenne reeds. Anything that goes into the mouth would have to be soaked. And that's a nice feature to have this waterproof nail polish on it. But since this is going into a Krummhorn reed, what we're eventually going to do is make it a reed that doesn't need to be wet anymore. It's a dry reed. We call it a dry reed. And I'll show you how to do that in the next segment. We're now done with the glue, and we will finish the profiling in the next segment.